Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. because there's a famine of what? Of truth in our land. And this is your quick news fix. And the truth starts now. All right.
You can't handle the truth.
Take one. I got so much stuff going on. I got paper clips all over the place. Let's go. Trump terrific. You catch that? Trump terrific is bowling strikes all over the globe. Let's take a little look on the calendar. May 8th, he cuts a huge deal with UK, a great deal. July 2nd, a great deal with Vietnam, like no other deal we ever had. July 15th, Indonesia, probably the most potentially dynamic economy in the whole Pan-Pacific. July 22nd, Philippines, great deal there. Marcos's son came over and Trump did all kinds of announcements in the Oval Office about Obama and treason with the King of the Philippines sitting there, or the Prime Minister, whatever he was. He was having a great time and happy to be there for those announcements. Then again on July 2nd, Japan cuts a great deal with us. Then on July 27th, the EU with Ursula. You know who Ursula is. She's the Black Witch from The Little Mermaid. Well, she got her comeuppance. Trump took her for a $1 trillion ride around the block. Man. Then July 30th, South Korea. And tomorrow is August 1st. That's the deadline for deadbeats. Who are the deadbeats who haven't made their deals? China, Canada, Australia, India, and Mexico. And man, are they going to have a hard time with Trump? He's got all these others in the bag. Then he goes on Truth Social today and goes, wow, Canada has just announced that it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. He writes it in there. That's their national anthem if you don't know it. It's called Oh, Canada. Yeah, Oh, Canada is right, man. They're going to be screaming. All right. Then he comes out with another truth on Truth Social. He says, I don't care what India does with Russia. They can take their dead economies down together for all I care. I have done very little business with India. Their tariffs are too high, among the highest in the world. Likewise, Russia and the USA do almost no business together. Let's keep it that way. And tell Medvedev, the failed former president of Russia, who thinks he's still president, to watch his words. He's entering very dangerous territory. I'm telling you, the orange roughie is locked and loaded on these boys. They do not want to deal with him now that he's got trillions of dollars locked in by contract and hundreds of billions coming into our treasury. And it hasn't really even started yet. It's starting tomorrow. All right, and just a hunch, because it's just a hunch Friday, right? I think Trump's going to want a bonus for all these trillions he's bringing in. So here it comes. Then Trump announced that he is going to redesign the east wing of the White House. He's going to add a 90,000 square foot ballroom because just like Air Force One, which is a 40-year-old airplane, and he's catching all this grief from the Dems because Qatar wants to give him a beautiful jet, but still 13 years old. So in Trump's mind, I'm going around getting used equipment from people because we're the United States and we're in such a hole because Mr. Softy was allowed to be a puppet president while Obama and his goons ran everything to try to destroy the place. And Congress out there eating their slop from the trough. They could care less. So now Trump is saying, oh, so I got to ride around and save the world in a 40-year-old airplane. And then when I want to entertain any of these heads of state and they come to the White House, if there's more than 200 people, I have to put up a giant tent 100 yards from the White House, and everyone has to go to a tent for us to throw a decent party for heads of state. No more. So this ballroom is going to have seating for 650. It's going to cost $200 million, and he's got all the money donated, and he's donating too. So everybody can shut up. This guy gets it the way he wants it. So what can you say? Trump should retire Lee Greenwood, and he should hire NC Hammer, and his song should now be "Can't Touch This." Do 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 do. Can't touch this. Do 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 do. You know this song? Can't touch this. Well, it's a great song for Trump. All right, no more of that. All right, take two. Bull Durham, the remake. Today, the Department of Justice provided Chairman Grassley with previously classified information related to Special Counsel Durham's investigation into possible coordination between the Clinton campaign and the Obama administration to interfere with the 2016 presidential election. I don't know if you remember all the hype and lead up to Special Counsel Durham's investigation, right? This guy was supposed to be the toughest investigator, right? He looked like a male walrus. He had this big mustache. He never really said anything. He was just talked under his voice. And we're like, okay, nutty professor, lawyer. He's just all on it. And then it was a nothing burger. And I thought, how could they do that? How could they hyped up Mueller, and he's a senile old man. They said he was the king of the Democrat attorneys, right? No, they picked these people that they can goof. Now, Durham, I heard the people that were talking him up. The reason that his report was a nothing burger is that they stripped out parts of it and locked them away so nobody could see them. So now FBI Director Kash Patel revealed he found piles of sensitive documents on the Trump-Russia probe buried in burn bags. What are burn bags? Okay, so when they have top secret documents that they don't want to see the light of day, they put them in these things called burn bags. They seal them. They are highly ignitable, and when you burn things in them, they burn down to ash. So documents in these burn bags are never meant to see the light of day. So he finds a whole stash of these burn bags in a secret room hidden within the Bureau's headquarters. Sources close to Patel said the FBI uses a burn bag system to destroy sensitive documents designated classified or higher. Multiple bags with thousands of documents were reportedly found in the secret room used by former FBI Director James Too Tall Eagle Scout Comey and the agents for the Crossfire Hurricane probe. Patel also reportedly found the classified annex to former Special Counsel John Durham's final report. That was where all the secret sauce was. And that got let out of the bag today and into the hands of Chairman Grassley. Durham's final report, which includes the underlying intelligence he reviewed. All right. So now we're going to get to the bottom of that. So there's actually the published emails about putting this plot together. And you know what? I got to use this because apparently Mark Zuckerberg got to pick the font for this thing. And you know what? When I was 15, my eyes couldn't pick this out. All right, so here we go. From Durham's classified appendix, authentic July 2016 emails discussing Hillary Clinton's plan to demonize Putin and Trump. Predictions that the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Hillary approved the idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. So this email is from a guy named Leonard Bernardo. All right. I'm going to give you a little bio on Lenny after this. Sent July 25th, 2016. Hi. The media analysis on the DNC hacking appears solid. This is an important story because it would be the first time that we know of that a state, meaning Russia, deliberately uses the infiltration and publication of data to interfere in the U.S. election, right? They're making all this up. At the same, politicization is on the table. I have been a bit surprised that nobody has mentioned this 18-month-long story yet in their analysis and makes explicit reference to U.S. elections at the end. I'm reading this guy's email, right? Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Outcome is far from clear as Americans are more keen on their own woes than Hillary is hardly good looking as far as credibility is concerned. Anyway, things are ghastly for U.S.-Russian relations. Lenny, right? Then here's a second one. This is 2 days later. Hi, this is from Lenny again. Hillary Rodham Clinton approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing emails. 30,000 of them, by the way, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel menace, since both the president and vice president have acknowledged the fact that this would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. However, there seems to be signs of Russian intelligence penetration. They appear hardly skilled, incompetent, bumbling idiots, is my opinion. In absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and Russian intelligence will hopefully carry on to give more facts. So these are the actual emails. These people are toast, okay? And this is all treasonous. All this stuff I'm reading is straight up treason. So let's take a look at Lenny, because he's a darling of the New York Times, a darling of the left. And so here we go. Take 3. Lenny, the treasonous emailer, AKA Leonard Bernardo. George Soros built his philanthropy on the belief that no one has a monopoly on the truth. Lenny is a VP for Soros's Open Society Foundation, right? So he's a right-hand man of George Soros. Soros and all of leftism believe that the truth is a glob of silly putty that you press on an idea you want to promote. Then you press it onto published propaganda and call it truth. Then you Alinsky it with piles of stolen NGO money until people assume it is the truth. Lenny, the treasonous emailer, will hopefully lead the courts to George Soros, and the world will be rid of these satanic, troublemaking jerks. Awful. All right. Take 4. Sydney Sweeney and the Meanies. The White House asked for woke outcry over American Eagle jeans ads featuring Sydney Sweeney to stop. They're saying that American Eagle is promoting Nazism and Nazi eugenics, right? Why are they saying that? Because they've had 4 years of the Biden inversion where they were putting ugly and heavyweight models to promote fashion ideas. And we're all sitting there like a bunch of schmucks silently looking at this crap. And people are still furious about it. They're furious at themselves. Don't you miss watching fat models act sexy? I know I do. So not only not eugenics, it's not eugenics, but the left should shut up about that chapter in America, which the left promoted heavily. You don't believe me? You ever wonder why all the Planned Parenthood offices are in black neighborhoods? That's the root of this whole thing. It's unbelievable. Okay, but Sydney's cute, but this is about the 80% of Americans who still won't buy Bud Light. The 4 years of the Biden inversion are still very fresh in people's minds. They are angry about it. And if buying jeans from a buxom tart will send a giant FU to the left, I'll take 2. All right. This is take 5. Man, there's paper clips all over this place today. All right, Democrats are wailing like Captain Ahab in Moby Dick. Why? That's just a fun play on words. There she blows, the great white redistricting map. Dems have been crying all over their media playground about lawless Trump pushing redistricting before the November 2026 midterms. Dems would never do this, right? Sherman, set the Wayback Machine for April 2025. Yes, Mr. Peabody. Special election in Wisconsin to elect a radical lefty, Susan Crawford, as state Supreme Court judge. But Mr. Peabody, that's not redistricting. Be patient, Sherman, and watch. Watch the Dems spend $100 million on a Wisconsin state Supreme Court judge seat. Yeah, and watch also the Republicans, like a bunch of numbnuts idiots, watch $100 million get spent in Wisconsin and go, oh, we're working on Florida. So bad. Unbelievable. Such a stupid party to be a part of. All right, so Dems put $100 million on a Wisconsin state Supreme Court judge seat. Why? Inquiring minds want to know, not Republican minds, but inquiring minds. Because the then leftist majority on the court could vote for redistricting in Wisconsin. Why? Because Dems could redraw the map to gain 2 new Democrat seats in Congress. So Sherman, tell the left to dry their tears and shut the hell up. Here is what could change in the midterm election history coming up. And the Dems do this all the time. And now that for once there's a guy who grew a pair, Donald Trump, and he's telling all these fat, gelding rhinos, get off your butts, go to your states, and get a redistricting map drawn and voted in. So how many seats are we talking about? Well, right now we're sitting at 219 Republican to 212 Democrat, right? And they've got plans to spend billions of stolen NGO money to flip that, right? They want Hakeem Jeffries to be right now I can't remember whatever his title is. It's not going to come. All right. The big dog in Congress to get everybody organized. I can't think of it because the feckless Republican guy who's there is such a trip. All right. So here's the states that are up for potential redistricting. Texas, right now, battling it out. They were talking about locking the state house so these guys couldn't leave and go on vacation today because there's 5 seats up for grab if they just vote this new map in. Ohio, same thing. They've got 2 seats that they can gain. California is going to do this, but we don't know what their map's going to look like. New York is going to do it. We don't know what their map's going to look like. Florida's up for it. DeSantis has been talking about it all week and how many seats he thinks he can get. Missouri, New Jersey, Illinois, Maryland, Indiana, Georgia, and Louisiana. All of these are possibilities. And look, historically, the midterms go against whatever party has the majority and is in the White House. So people are mad by the time the midterms come because all these promises were made and none of them were kept. So they vote against the dominant party because they feel like they were lied to, and 99% of the time they were. But Trump, oh man, he's just delivering in spades and even better than he projected, right? Under promise, over deliver. So he is just going to smoke these folks. And they know it. They already know it. That's why they're crying and panicking and saying, these mean Republicans, they're lawless. Don't listen to a bit of it. They spent $100 million on one Supreme Court seat, and everyone's going, why? Why would they do that? Because they strategize and they spend our tax money, right, through NGOs to get it done. They don't spend their money. They spend our money. That's the ultimate in your face. All right. Take 6. Last item. I didn't think of this headline. Somebody else did, and it's good. From D cup to sippy cup. I'll say it again. From D cup, that would be a bra size, to sippy cup. What is this about? It's about Hooters, and Hooters is $376 million in debt, and they filed for bankruptcy today. Casual family dining restaurants have been in decline due to the squeeze on middle-class Americans, right? When eggs are costing you, I don't even know how much it was at the end. People were saying they're spending 10 and 12 bucks for a dozen eggs. So if you're doing that, you're not going out to Hooters or any of these other places. At least that's my assumption. But you know what? People jump on that plastic and they do it anyway. Whatever. All these places have felt the pain. So the squeeze on middle-class Americans, Hooters filed for bankruptcy on Monday. Hooters operates 151 locations, and franchise operators do another 154 locations. That's 305 locations from Shanghai, China to Clearwater, Florida. They were founded in 1983 on a value proposition of chicken wings and big breasts. You figure it out. But things are moving from D cups to sippy cups. Listen to this. This is funny. The most successful franchises are marketing to families with kids and doing fantastic. Kids love these places. They want to go to these places. They have fun, interesting decor inside and tiki thatch roofs and these outfits that these girls wear. The cheerleading outfits at their high schools are racier than these Hooter waitress outfits. So it's absolutely family. And they're all loving it. And the franchises that moved in that direction are doing great. Okay. And they're marketing to families with kids and doing fantastic, especially these big birthday parties. They're just having a blast. So it's all conservative by today's standards. So that's 6. It's Friday. And I know half of you aren't even here. I know you all took off early Thursday morning and went somewhere. I know, because I'm not getting my calls returned. I know what this play is. All right, so you do that, but look at me. I'm here Thursday night, 10:15, so that you can have this hot off the griddle at 7 a.m. So because I did that when you ran away and started your vacation, I expect you to like us, to share us, to make comments. And because you have been doing that well and religiously, I am going to ask the Lord God Almighty to bless you on your premature vacation. So have a great time and God bless you. Take care. Have fun. Have the best time. Later.